All right, welcome back to the deep dive. I know you're all busy people. You want those aha moments, but also, like, you want to get to the core of the matter.
Exactly. We want to make sure you're not just like drowning in information.
That's what we're going for at these deep dives,
Hmm.
to really unpack these topics that are maybe, well, maybe a bit more complex.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to dive deep into this really fascinating approach to the body and to our internal experience. It's called Neuroaffective Somatics.
Yes. And it was developed by Catherine Zitterbart.
Yeah. And it's basically a way to see how, like, the really big picture, the cosmos connects to how we experience our bodies and, like, our own inner world.
Mm-hmm.
So for this particular deep dive, we're going to zoom in on one specific aspect of this framework.
The body Bagua.
Yeah, exactly. The body Bagua. And we've got some incredible source material here that basically explores how this traditional, the symbol you might have seen before, this 8-sided symbol, the Bagua.
And Bagua.
Yeah, how it can be understood as like a fundamental map for the body itself.
Like a blueprint.
Yeah, exactly, like a blueprint.
Yeah.
So today we're really going to try to get a grasp on the core concepts of the Bagua as it applies to your body, to see how it functions as this energetic blueprint and ultimately a movement blueprint. And this can really give us some new perspectives on how our mind and body are so deeply connected.
Definitely.
Okay, so the Bagua. It's written in Chinese,
Yes.
and it's not like a modern invention, right? This has been around for a while.
Oh, for centuries. Yeah, it's a foundational map in Daoist cosmology, natural law, how the ancient Chinese understood the human experience.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been around for centuries, guiding principles for a lot of different aspects of life.
Like what specifically? I mean, what were some of its traditional uses?
So, I mean, one of the big is that it was a way to describe the fundamental forces that are at play in nature.
Oh, interesting.
The Bagua is made up of 8 of these trigrams, and each trigram represents a different core pattern of movement and transformation.
Okay.
And so you can think about, like Kyan, the trigram for heaven, the sky, that's represented as Greece. And it represents this powerful, clear, enduring force.
Right.
And then you have Kin, the trigram for earth, for fertile ground.
Okay.
And that embodies qualities of receptivity and nourishment.
Right.
Like deep, grounded support.
Right. Right.
So these are the basic energies that we're seen as shaping the universe.
Oh, wow. So it's really about understanding these like fundamental energies.
Mm-hmm.
What else was it used for? You mentioned family dynamics.
Yeah, so traditionally each of these 8 trigrams, it also corresponds to a specific role within a family structure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so like, Kian, Yuka, that was often associated with the father figure.
Okay.
And then that embodies qualities of initiative and leadership. And then Kun,
Yeah.
linked to the mother, representing this nurturing and patience.
Yeah, I'm starting to see the connections here.
Right. And then you have Zen,
Yeah,
Shen,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is the trigram for thunder, shaking force. That's us. And that's seen as like the eldest son, connected with the energy of activation and boldness.
Okay.
And Zun, that represents wind or wood.
Okay.
And that would be the eldest daughter,
Yeah.
signifying flexibility and wisdom.
Wow. So you can really see how they use these energetic patterns to understand even human relationships.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting to think about these like family roles not as I don't know, like fixed labels, but as these archetypal energies,
Yeah,
that maybe resonate in our own internal experience.
absolutely. And they might offer a way to even understand patterns in relationships that you experience in your body and life.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so interesting. And you also mentioned that it illuminates life cycles.
Yes. The trigrams were also used to describe those natural ebbs and flows of human processes, emotional states, and even the different stages of development that we go through.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, that represents fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's linked with illumination, transformation. It was often associated with the middle daughter.
Okay.
And then Kin, water, connected to the middle sun.
Mm-hmm.
And that symbolizes depth and reflection.
Okay.
Dewey, the youngest daughter, that's lake or metal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about expression and joy.
Okay.
And lastly, Gin is the youngest son. That's mountain or earth.
Okay.
Represents stillness, a sense of restoration.
Wow. So you can see how these trigrams, they offer like a whole framework for understanding the different qualities and stages we move through in our lives.
Yeah.
This table we have that lays out the trigram, element, direction, family role, natural image, and key attributes.
Mm.
It really kind of makes this really clear, like this ancient system.
Yeah, it gives you this quick snapshot of
Yeah.
like all the different layers of meaning within each of these trigrams. And what's fascinating is how neuroaffective somatics takes this age-old map and then applies it to how we understand our own bodies.
Right. So how do we make that leap? How do we go from these like cosmic and familial associations to what's happening, in our bodies?
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
So, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM,
Mm-hmm.
that's long recognized this deep connection between the body and the mind. And they often attribute what they call Shen,
Shen.
yeah, to the organs.
Yeah.
And it's often understood spirit or consciousness.
Okay.
And neuroaffective somatics builds on this.
Mm.
But instead of just focusing on individual organs, it maps the 8 extraordinary vessels, which are, you can think of them as like the deepest, most ancient currents of life energy
Interesting.
in the body that underlie the more well-known meridian channels.
Oh, okay.
And it maps those to the Bagua.
Extraordinary vessels. So how does that mapping actually work?
Okay, so this alignment basically connects our body systems, not just with these isolated functions,
Mm-hmm.
but also with these broader energetic structures.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that the movement of qi, or vital energy within us, it mirrors the dynamic interactions of the natural forces represented by the Bagua.
Oh, okay.
And then, going even further, it links the Taoist immortals, these legendary figures that are known for their transformation abilities,
Oh, yeah.
with these extraordinary vessels. So it offers us these archetypal patterns for our own personal transformation and how we inhabit our bodies.
Oh, that's so interesting. So it's not just about the physical stuff,
No.
but also like the energy flow and these like archetypal patterns of change.
Yeah.
But what does that give us in terms of like understanding ourselves?
So you can see how this approach results in a system that's described as practical, because it's really rooted in our lived embodied experience, our sense of spatial awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It's dynamic because it emphasizes this constant movement, transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and the interconnectedness of everything,
Right.
rather than static, fixed categories. And it's holistic because it brings together, our physical biology, the patterns that we inherit from our ancestors,
Which is known as.
epigenetic inheritance,
Okay.
and the profound influence of our surrounding environment
Right.
into a single unified way of understanding ourselves.
Yeah, so it's like it's acknowledging all these different layers that make us who we are.
Exactly. So by mapping the Bagua onto the body in this way, we're taking this three-dimensional embodied approach that acknowledges how we carry these patterns from our lineage,
Mm-hmm.
how our environment shapes us, and the power that we have in our own conscious cultivation to influence our experience.
Right. And you also mentioned Neidan, or internal alchemy.
Internal alchemy, yeah.
Where does that fit into this whole picture?
So Neidan is this profound and somewhat esoteric Daoist practice that focuses on internal refinement.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike external alchemy, which historically involved working with physical substances and elixirs, Neidan is about transforming our own inner Jing,
Okay.
which is often translated as essence.
Okay.
It's our deepest reserves of life force,
Okay.
Qi, our vital energy,
Mm-hmm.
and Shen, our spirit or consciousness,
Uh-huh.
into a state of greater harmony and deep connection within ourselves and with the larger world.
Wow. Okay. So it's about an inner transformation.
Yeah.
How does that relate to the Bagua and this map of the body that we're discussing?
Well, Neidan provides a crucial context within this neuroaffective somatics framework for understanding afferents and efferent.
Okay.
It highlights that this internal process, this Neidan process, it's both deeply personal,
Okay.
like your unique journey,
Right.
but at the same time, it's fundamentally impersonal in the sense that it's part of the larger natural unfolding of the Tao.
Right.
And it doesn't see us as these isolated individuals striving for control,
Okay.
but as integral parts of the natural rhythms of the universe.
Right.
So it's not about strengthening a separate ego,
Mm-hmm.
but about finding resonance
Okay.
and learning to move in harmony
Mhm.
with these fundamental forces of life.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It really feels key. Now, let's dive into this afferent-efferent distinction you mentioned. How does neuroaffective somatics understand that?
So both in neurophysiology, like how our nervous system works, and in our own direct somatic experience, how we feel and sense things in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between afferent and efferent pathways really mirrors this fundamental relationship between perception and action,
Okay.
between our awareness and how we embody that awareness. It's
Oh.
almost like the interplay between Shen and Jing that we touched on earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So afferent is like the incoming information,
It's
right?
exactly the
Yes.
sensory input.
The sensory input that we take in.
Yeah, so the afferent nervous system carries that sensory information from our bodies and from the outside world to our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it does this through what are called dorsal pathways.
Okay.
This is how we perceive and interpret both external stimuli, like what's happening around us,
Mm-hmm.
and internal sensations, what's happening inside of us.
Right.
It's the fundamental process through which we make meaning of our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
develop our individual perceptions, build our personal narratives about the world, and cultivate a deeper sense of embodied awareness.
Okay.
And within this framework, the 8 immortals are linked with this afferent,
Okay.
Shen dorsal aspect.
Okay.
And each immortal represents a unique way of perceiving the world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Specific lens through which we kind of filter and interpret our experiences. So essentially, our spirit in this context is that capacity to deeply sense and perceive our internal and external world.
Interesting. So the immortals are like these different modes of perception, different ways of seeing and understanding. Mm-hmm. What about efferent? That's like the outgoing, the action side of things.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So the efferent nervous system, it uses what are called ventral pathways.
Okay.
And it controls our motor output,
Okay.
our movements, our actions,
Mm-hmm.
our embodiment, how we inhabit our physical form,
Right.
and our responses to the world around us.
Yeah.
It's the way our perceptions translate into tangible actions.
Right. Okay.
And how we actually interact with our environment.
Okay.
So the 8 extraordinary vessels are connected with this efferent Jing ventral aspect.
Mm-hmm.
They function as these structural and energetic pathways that actually enact what we receive through our efferent perceptions.
Right.
And each vessel represents a different specific developmental process,
Mm-hmm.
fundamental embodied action that kind of completes the cycle
Yeah.
between sensing something
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then doing something in response.
Oh, that's really interesting. So it's like this constant loop, this feedback of like taking in information and then acting on it. Yes. All mapped onto these energetic pathways and like these archetypal frameworks.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned this this magical to mystical aspect that's often associated with TCM.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So TCM has always acknowledged what might seem like this unseen intelligence operating within the body.
Mm-hmm.
And Shen is considered that field through which this innate intelligence expresses itself.
Okay.
So, from this neuroaffective somatics perspective, we understand Shen as fundamentally efferent.
Okay.
It's the way we perceive and receive and deeply attune ourselves to our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not seen as something supernatural or transcendent, like floating above us.
Okay.
But rather, it's what deeply grounds us in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
in our immediate experience.
Right. Yeah.
So it's about being fully present and aware in our bodies.
Yeah.
What's the trust aspect that you mentioned in relation to this?
So when we consider Shen as this core capacity for afferent perception, there's this inherent trust in several key aspects.
Okay.
So first, there's the trust that perception itself, the very act of perceiving something, can be a really powerful catalyst for change.
Interesting.
Like simply becoming aware of something that's happening within us or around us
Right.
is often the crucial first step towards shifting it.
Okay.
And then second, there's this deep trust in the body's remarkable innate capacity to organize and heal itself when we provide it with the right conditions.
Okay, like what?
Things like mindful movement, conscious breath, and simply being present with our experience. We don't necessarily have to force healing to happen.
Okay.
Our tissues, our energetic systems,
Right.
they naturally respond to these fundamental inputs.
And then third, there's this recognition that the 8 extraordinary vessels, they operate at a level that might go beyond our purely linear rational understanding.
Okay.
Yet their effects can be profoundly felt in our lived experience.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's a similar kind of trust that underlies practices like acupuncture and qigong
Right.
and other Taoist disciplines. It's this fundamental belief in the body's inherent wisdom
Yeah.
and its capacity for self-regulation and healing.
It sounds like it's about learning to listen deeply to the body's own inherent wisdom.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned the complexity of this neuroaffective lens.
Mm.
Can you summarize the key aspects of that for us?
So first of all, it really beautifully bridges these realms of myth and biology
Okay.
by showing that these Taoist immortals and these 8 extraordinary vessels,
Mm.
they're not separate, unrelated entities,
Right.
but they're actually interconnected components of a unified cycle of human development and transformation.
Oh, okay. I see.
So, and then secondly, it offers a really valuable perspective that aligns with trauma healing.
Okay.
It suggests that healing isn't just about trying to fix a dysregulated nervous system,
Okay.
but it's about gently revisiting, re-experiencing these crucial developmental stages
Mm-hmm.
with a greater sense of agency and safety.
Okay.
So the vessels provide the underlying somatic structure
Right.
for this re-experiencing, while the narratives and the archetypes of the immortals offer a kind of narrative intelligence
Mm-hmm.
to help us understand and integrate those experiences.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, it provides us with a really practical and insightful tool for self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just asking ourselves, what's wrong with my vessel,
Okay.
we can explore this more nuanced question of how is this particular immortal vessel pairing manifesting in my life right now?
Oh, I see. That shift in perspective from like what's wrong to like how is this playing out?
Yeah.
Feels really powerful. You also mentioned a connection to Feng Shui.
Feng Shui.
How does that fit into this intricate web?
So Feng Shui, often translated as wind and water,
Okay.
is this traditional Taoist practice
Mm-hmm.
that is centered on harmonizing our living and working spaces
Okay.
to reflect and support the natural flow of ki.
Right, a vital energy.
Vital energy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's based on this fundamental principle that our external environment has a significant and direct influence on our internal state of consciousness,
Okay.
just as our own body's energetic currents influence our overall health and well-being.
Right.
And within the neuroaffective somatics model, Feng Shui utilizes the Bagua as a key map for understanding and working with physical space.
Okay.
So it functions in this context as what's called the extraordinary map.
So it's like our internal energetic landscape
Mm-hmm.
is reflected and mirrored in our external surroundings.
Precisely.
Wow.
Yeah, so by consciously integrating these principles of Feng Shui, we recognize that the process of healing and cultivating well-being,
Mm-hmm.
it isn't solely an internal individual endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's deeply interconnected with this dynamic relationship between our on-body systems,
Yeah.
both our physical physiology
Right.
and our subtle energetic anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
The universal archetypes and environmental relationships represented by the Bagua,
Mm-hmm.
and the conscious, aware presence of the practitioner or individual engaging with the space.
Wow. So it really embodies this holistic view of health and harmony.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is all pointing to this incredible interconnectedness, isn't it?
Mm.
Now let's talk about tensegrity.
Tensegrity, yes.
I've encountered this term before, often in relation to architecture,
Mm.
structural engineering.
Yeah.
How does it apply to our bodies in this context?
So tensegrity is short for tensional integrity.
Okay.
And it's this fundamental principle that describes how our bodies achieve both remarkable stability
Mm-hmm.
and incredible dynamism,
Okay.
not through rigid skeletal structures
Okay.
that are held together by compression,
Okay.
but through this continuous interconnected balance of tension and compression
Mm-hmm.
that's beautifully orchestrated by this constant force of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of thinking of the body as this hierarchical top-down control system
Okay.
with bones stacked upon each other and isolated muscles working independently,
Right. Right.
tensegrity views the body as this this dynamic, responsive, interconnected web.
Okay.
Much like a sophisticated suspension bridge
Right.
or a resilient geodesic dome,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
where every single part is in a relationship with and influencing every other part.
Okay.
And the fascia, that's this pervasive and often overlooked connective tissue,
Mm-hmm.
that permeates every single structure in our bodies.
Right. Plays an absolutely crucial role in enabling this dynamic equilibrium.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's less about like individual parts,
Mhm.
rigidly holding each other up,
Mm.
and more about this whole body like interconnected web of tension and support.
Exactly.
Why is this understanding of tensegrity so important when we think about our bodies and how they function?
Well, first and foremost, it allows for what we call elastic strength.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the body resisting external force in a localized way,
Okay.
it intelligently distributes that tension across the entire interconnected system,
Right.
leading to far more effortless and resilient movement.
Okay.
And secondly, it inherently emphasizes whole body coordination.
Mm-hmm.
So movement isn't just about specific muscles firing in isolation.
All right.
It's about how the entire structural web subtly adjusts and adapts in real time to maintain balance and efficiency.
And then thirdly, it promotes this state of resonance rather
Yes.
than rigidity.
Okay.
Like a finely tuned musical instrument. The body isn't meant to simply hold a static fixed position.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to continuously respond and flow with external pressures,
Okay.
shifts in weight,
Mm-hmm.
and the ever-changing environment. The key insight here is that your body is inherently intelligent and self-organizing.
Right.
You don't need to constantly force posture, but rather learn to listen to and support this dynamic balance that's already present within.
I like that. You suggested a brief embodied experience to help us kind of get a felt sense of this tensegrity in our own bodies. Could you guide us through that now?
Yeah, absolutely. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting or standing, just for a moment, just release any conscious effort to hold yourself in a perfect posture.
Okay.
So instead of actively trying to stand or sit rigidly upright,
Yep.
just simply imagine your body as this intricate and buoyant web of elastic threads.
Okay.
Delicate yet incredibly resilient balance of tension and compression
Mm-hmm.
that's constantly adjusting to the pull of gravity.
Right.
And now, as you breathe naturally in and out,
Mm-hmm.
can you sense the very subtle shifts in your weight distribution and overall balance?
Mm-hmm.
Just notice if a sense of stability seems to arise more from being stiff and held,
Right.
or from this continuous, almost imperceptible responsiveness.
Okay.
Take a moment to sense, where in your body you might be holding any unnecessary tension or effort,
Mm-hmm.
and where you feel a greater sense of ease and flow.
Yeah.
This is a glimpse.
Mm-hmm.
This felt sense of tensegrity in action.
Yeah. That's a really interesting subtle way to experience the body.
Yeah.
Now, you made this intriguing connection,
Mm-hmm.
saying that tensegrity equals Wu-Wei equals resonance.
Yes.
Can you unpack that equation for us?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the fundamental principle of tensegrity isn't about forcing or rigidly controlling the body's structure.
Okay.
At its core, it's about inherent relationship.
Okay.
How all the individual parts of the system are interconnected and mutually supportive.
Right.
And so when we initiate movement or even maintain stillness in a way that aligns with this natural tensegrity of our being,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to impose a forced or artificial structure,
Mm-hmm.
we begin to experience what's known as Wu-Wei,
Mm-hmm.
that concept of effortless action that we discussed earlier.
Right.
So in essence, tensegrity can be understood as the structural embodiment of Wu-Wei.
I see.
Instead of constantly trying to force alignment
Right.
or hold ourselves in a particular state,
Yeah.
the body, when allowed, naturally organizes itself through these intrinsic tensional relationships.
Right.
Not through a top-down command and control
Right.
approach,
Right.
just like a geodesic dome maintains its incredible stability.
Mm-hmm.
Through this carefully distributed tension of its interconnected components,
Mm-hmm.
our bodies move most efficiently, gracefully, and harmoniously.
Okay.
When we learn to follow and trust these inherent patterns of flow and support.
Okay. Yeah. So it's about working with the body's innate intelligence
Hmm.
and structural wisdom rather than trying to override it.
Yeah.
You also drew a really insightful connection between traditional Chinese medicine and this tensegrity model.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that for us?
So while a framework like polyvagal theory,
Mm-hmm.
expert speaker,